Okay, so maybe just let me start off with giving you a brief introduction of the University of Wollongong. Okay, so I am assuming that everybody knows that Wollongong is based in Australia. Okay, about 1 hour's drive away from Sydney, a beautiful place. Okay, we have just sent a group of 10 students to Wollongong for an exchange program. Okay, so we are on a WhatsApp chat and they've been sending me beautiful photos of them doing skydiving, lots of sea sports and all, but very little photos of them studying. So I told them that while they're there to enjoy themselves, okay, but surely studying is still a priority. Okay, so they've assured me that yes, they've been attending classes, they've been enjoying the difference in teaching, okay, with and interacting with the students in Australia compared to Singapore. Okay, so I think that's very important. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the student exchange program that we have with the University of Wollongong as well. This is a slide basically on our achievements. I'm just going to flash it. I'm not really going to run through it. Okay, you can look up University of Wollongong's rankings. I think this is important when you're actually considering the kind of university that you want to actually undertake your studies with. Okay, so the University of Wollongong prides itself on being very industry relevant, okay, which means that we aim to train our graduates to be industry ready. Okay, so we don't just want to train you to be good in your studies, but at the end of the day, when you graduate with our program, we want to make sure that you're employable. Okay, so that's something that the university focuses a lot on, okay, both on the onshore Australia program as well as the Singapore program here, which is why we have actually worked with various companies to allow our students to have opportunities to work with them either on internships or else on final year projects to give you that kind of exposure so that when you actually go for a job, you actually have an edge over other people who are just, in part of a program who doesn't have any industry experiences. Okay, so we also talk a little bit about that later on. Okay, in terms of accreditation, so this is one very common question that we get asked at a lot of briefings. Okay, is your program accredited? So our program is accredited by the Australian Computer Society, who actually, has reciprocal agreements with the Singapore Computer Society for that kind of cross recognition. Okay, what it means when a degree program is accredited, it means that you will be able to gain entry into a lot of major universities. So for example, after you have completed the bachelor's program, there's no need for you to continue with the UOW master's program, for example. Okay, you actually are able to apply to anywhere else to complete your master's because our program is actually accredited. Yeah, so this is actually what I've just articulated as well. Okay, in terms of industry recognition in Singapore, again, something that's very common that a lot of parents and students will ask, in terms of, recognition in the Singapore context, while you're an Australian university, how recognized is your degree in that sense? Okay, so our recognition, I think, will come in the form of acknowledgement from major corporations, including IMDA and CSIT, which is like the MINDEF IT arm. They are both giving us graduation awards, meaning that they will actually award medals to our top performing student from the graduating cohort. And we invite them to our graduation ceremony each year where they will present these awards to our top graduates. And in the process, you can also be recruited by them, okay? And just now I spoke about the final year project and internship opportunities that we offer to our students. So internship is not a compulsory component of our program, okay? But the final year project is actually a 6-month project. So students have an option of either doing a school assigned project or to do a project with an industry. So these are just two of the companies that we have engaged with to actively offer you opportunities each term to work on a project with them. In fact, I haven't added to my slide, but just this month, we've actually started working with GovTech as well. So one of our students has embarked on a project with GovTech. So we're continuously seeking opportunities with various organizations so that our students will have that kind of exposure. Okay, so why study computer science, IT? I suppose that's why all of you are here. Okay, this slide, maybe people of my age can relate to. So in the past, when we were very much younger, okay, my parents used to, you have to, drag us home because we'll always be outside kicking, playing outside with our friends and all. Okay, but nowadays you find that it's opposite, right? Parents got to drag their kids out of the house and ask them to go out and play. So it's kind of a role reversal, okay? Mainly because everyone is really just happy at home, with your Netflix and your computer. You basically can just sit there. Okay, you can even grab food. Basically, you don't really need to leave your house at all. So I think our lives has been conditioned as such. Okay, which means that technology is very pervasive now. Okay, especially I think earlier on there was a talk on like ChatGPT, which is probably very hot topic among students now. It's also something that we deal a lot with our students currently, okay, because we find that students are getting better than us. So the university is also improvising on the way that we're allowing students to use ChatGPT. Okay, so but that's another topic at another time. And IT is the future. I think that's what everybody knows. And meaning that because IT is so pervasive, we need to make sure that the the program that you're undertaking is actually future-proof. Okay, which means that we do not get replaced. You'll be able to get good jobs after your graduation. I think that's what basically everybody is looking for. Okay. Yeah, and 70 to 80% of jobs will change in the next 20 years. Okay, and you need to prepare yourself basically. So we're really telling you that IT is probably a field that would move with the future. And I think that's where we all want to be in. Okay, but most importantly, I think you need to be passionate about this field that you're actually undertaking as well. Okay, so I'm going to go into the more technical portion, which is on the program structure of our program itself. So the degrees that we offer at SIM can be broken up into 3 different buckets. Okay, the first bucket would be what we call the Bachelor of Computer Science program. Okay, and within this, we have both the single majors as well as the double majors. Okay, the names there like big data, cybersecurity are the different specializations that you can opt for if you do the computer science program with us. Okay, and then the remaining 2, rather the second bucket will be what I would term as the more generic IT programs. That would be the Bachelor of Information Technology as well as the Bachelor of Business Information Systems. So the main difference between the BCom Science program and the BIT and the BBIS program would be that BCom Science is a lot focused more on things like computer science, programming. Okay, it's really meant for students who want to develop an in-depth knowledge into that. Okay, and after graduation, possibly move into serious work in like cybersecurity, big data analysis and all. Okay, but we understand that not all students love programming. Okay, and if you are the kind of students who wants a little bit of IT, okay, but yet you want to mix it up with a little bit of business, a bit of more generic software engineering and project management, then please consider the second bucket of program, which is the BIT as well as the BBIS. Okay, but because these programs would be slightly less programming intensive compared to the computer science program. Okay, so in a way, we offer like a suite to make sure that, dependent on your needs, okay, you should be able to have the right program that will suit you. Okay. In terms of the admission criteria of our program, it's a 3 years full degree program. Okay, and we offer them in both full-time and part-time mode. Okay, full-time meaning that you attend your studies basically in the daytime, anytime between 8:30 to 6:30. Part-time means from 7 to 10 p.m. every night. Okay, but regardless of whether you choose full-time or part-time, the duration of the program is the same. Okay, it's not that for part-time you have to do like double. Okay, basically everything is the same, but in part-time mode, you can choose to take reduced load. Okay, then it could mean that you will lengthen your duration of study. But if you take like the normal load, which is what the normal full-time students take, then basically your duration will be exactly the same. So for our programs, we accept students with A-level qualifications, foreign qualifications, as well as diploma holders. Of course, the majority of our students would actually have diploma qualifications because we actually give recognition to prior learning and your prior qualifications. Okay, and as of now, most of the students, as long as you have a poly diploma with a minimum GPA of 2, you will be entitled to 0.5 years exemption, which means that your duration of studies would be at 2.5 years. Okay, then on top of that, if you actually come, for example, with a relevant diploma in IT from one of our polys, it can go up to 1.5 years, which means that you only need to complete your program in 1.5 years. Okay, that's the maximum, no shorter than that. Okay. Okay, other information as well. I'm just going to run through this quickly. So our term structure is actually 3 months in duration. Okay, good and bad. Okay, good meaning that we can actually take in students 4 times a year in January, April, July, and October. Okay, I cannot say bad because not very bad. I should say more challenging because the term is actually short. Okay, so each term, imagine it as 3 months. So imagine that between week 1 to 7, you actually be having your classes itself and focusing on your modules. After that, typically you have 1 week of study break. And then after that, you go for your studies, go for your exam. And then after that, about 2 to 3 weeks of break. And then you repeat the cycle again. So it's a very, in a way, a very intensive term in that sense. But I've spoken to some of the students. I think some people like it because once you complete your modules within that 13 weeks, for example, then you can put it aside and move along. So you don't have to cut it across 6 months or 1 year compared to some other programs. So it really depends on your learning preferences, whether you actually like this kind of term structure. But that's how we run. So basically 4 terms a year, 3 months each. Our format of delivery is actually typically lectures and tutorials format. Okay, so in a lecture setting, this would be a typical LT that you sit in for the big lecture classes. And then subsequently, we will break you into smaller tutorial groups for tutorials. Okay, so lectures are meant for the lecturer to disseminate information. Okay, the tutorials are smaller because it's really meant for you to ask questions, have discussions, do some hands-on on computers and all, which is why we break you into smaller groups. Okay, so that's how we conduct our format. Okay, we have things like leave of absence and academic consideration, which means that anytime during your duration of study, if there's a need for you to take leave because you want to attend to something, that's actually possible within our program curriculum as well. At the start of each semester, we actually conduct orientation for all our new students. Okay, so orientation will be done because we need to tell you a little bit more about the program rules, like attendance requirements, etc. So all students are brought in. And on top of that, we actually organize free workshops. Okay, because most of our students are actually males, okay, still have females, don't worry, the males, we still have females in our program. Okay, but we understand that most of the males will need to complete national service. And sometimes after you have finished your poly and you go directly into NS, you come up, you feel a little bit blurred, you can't really remember like how your JavaScripts and all run. So basically we have workshops that are conducted prior to you starting your semester so that we can use it as like a refresher for you. So these workshop dates will be made known to you when you actually get admitted into the program and prior to orientation so that you'll be able to make time to come. And it's very important that you should attend these workshops when you join us because you need to have a good grounding before you actually start your first lesson itself. Okay, a little bit more about the programs itself. Okay, so just now we spoke about 2 different buckets. Remember, I said computer science, more programming intensive. The other bucket with BBIS and BIT, more generic. But no matter what, all these 3 programs actually have shared 1.5 years worth of common subjects. Okay, so what this means is also that there's actually no pressure for you when you're actually selecting which program you want to come in to when you actually apply to our program itself. Okay, because anytime during the course of studies, you are able to apply to transfer from one program to another. You can also apply to transfer from one major to another major program itself. Okay, so the program is very flexible. If you happen to come in, for example, into the cybersecurity program, okay, and then later on you find that, you like to switch to big data major, for example, that's fine. Okay, depending on which stage of the program you are at, whatever that you had done prior as a big data student, the subjects can be applied to your new program itself. Okay, we don't ask you to retake everything again. Okay, but we of course have a course counseling to let you know exactly which are the subjects that can be applied. Do you have to pay more? Do you need to study longer duration? These will all be covered by the team itself. Okay, but like I said, I think the main point is that the degree structure is really flexible such that you really do not have to worry if you actually come in and then change your mind throughout the program itself. So the year 3 subjects are actually taught by lecturers who fly in from UOW. Okay, so these are the same lecturers that actually teach the same subject at UOW itself. Okay, so what happens is that they will fly in and deliver the lectures to you. After that, they go back, you are still able to reach them via online. If not, we also have local tutors who will support you here through the tutorials after they have gone in that sense. Okay. Okay, so this next two slides are very colorful, a lot of modules. I think this is actually found on our website as well. It's just basically showing you the degree structure itself. So I spoke about the degrees being very versatile because you're able to transfer. That's because we have designed it around having common core subjects and degree core subjects and electives. Okay, which means that if you have done common core and degree core, then it really doesn't matter when you transfer. All these would still be able to be applied to whichever major that you opt for. Okay, so the program itself actually allows you to choose electives. So not everything is prescribed. Okay, meaning that you have options to choose electives such as Python programming. Currently, that's one of the electives that we have. We have electives such as front-end programming, back-end programming. And for example, if you're actually in the big data major, for example, and you want to take an elective from cybersecurity. So we have this subject called ethical hacking. Okay, it's a very common subject that a lot of students like it. Okay, maybe because they watch a lot of show and they see a lot of hackers and they want to try it out. So we actually have a cybersecurity lab that I'll share with you later on as well that's been designed for, especially for this module itself. So what happens typically during ethical hacking is that we break the class into like two groups, okay, and then they challenge each other. Okay, so one group will try and hack into, the other one will defend, and then later flip it over. Okay, so we find that this is a very common elective subjects that people want to take. Okay, so the program, like I said, also allows you to opt for it, even though you're not from that major itself. Okay, the color coding is just to show differences between the single major and the double major, which I think I'll speak a little bit more about it later. So within the computer science program itself, there is an option for you to opt for double major. Okay, so it's like this afternoon before I came, I had a single filet-o-fish and my son had a double filet-o-fish. Okay, so we have options for double majors, which means that you'll be able to have the best of both worlds. Okay, we know that some students, they cannot decide because they say, oh, their big data is so popular now. Cybersecurity is so popular now. So what do I do? Okay, and because of that, we have managed to come up with a structure that allows you to do both big data as well as cybersecurity. Okay, which means that at the end of the time, when you actually graduate, in your certificate itself, it will state that you have both big data as well as cybersecurity major. Okay, and I believe that that actually gives you an edge over other students who might only have a single major at the end of the day when so many students actually go into the market itself. Okay. Okay, I think I spoke briefly about this. So 4 sessions a year in January, April, July, and October. And our typical study load is 2 subjects per semester, which makes it about 8 subjects a year. But at any one time, you can always opt to reduce your study load. Okay, if you find that you're trying to adjust or if you just want to take a little break along the way itself. Okay, so single majors and double majors. Okay, just now I talked about it. Yes, you're able to have the best of both worlds if you actually opt for the single major. And I think the beauty of the double major program is that the duration, be it whether you opt for single major or double major, is actually the same. Okay, so that's the magic of double majors. Okay, so for example, if you come into our program with a diploma in IT and you're entitled to 1.5 years exemption, which means that for single major, you take 1.5 years to complete. For double majors, you also take 1.5 years to complete. Okay, and depending on your qualification, it might end up that you're only taking 1 extra subject compared to the single major students, and the cost fee differential, I think for local students is between 2,000 to 3,000. But for more exact details, you can come to us later or refer to our website for more information. Okay. Okay, so this is just a degree slide to show you the different fees and all. Okay, the cybersecurity lab that I spoke about just now. So we built a specialized cybersecurity lab within SIM itself to allow our students to have that exposure. So there are currently 2 modules that are being taught in this lab. One is, of course, ethical hacking that I spoke about. The other module is actually cybersecurity. So we believe in giving our students hands-on experience, okay, because we believe that not everything can be taught in a classroom setting. If you don't practice, if you don't see, you don't do it, you're not convinced. Okay, so like I said, this is how we kind of enable our students so that when you actually go to find job after that, okay, in cybersecurity, you can at least tell people that you have done something. So we know a lot of our students want to apply to be like pen testers and all. Okay, but during the interview, normally they get asked, so what kind of experience do you have? Okay, you may not have it, okay, but as long as you have some kind of hands-on experience, if you do some portfolio work on your work, at least it kind of convinces the employer that you are a person that they can consider employing. Okay, the student exchange program, something also that a lot of students are very excited about typically. So we offer a 6-month student mobility program to Australia, Wollongong. So what happens is that, of course, there are limited places. If you apply and you qualify, you get to go to UOW for a period of 6 months. Okay, beauty of it again is that you pay only SIM course fees, but you get to study there. Okay, of course, your own airfare, accommodation, clubbing, shopping, eating, you have to pay on your own. Okay, not covered. Okay, but the typical course fees, if you go as an international student to Australia, is between like 2 to 3 times what you normally pay here. Okay, so the opportunity to go for a student exchange then becomes valuable because you're actually paying, you know, what you're paying locally here, but you get an opportunity to study there. Okay. And because UOW has actually expanded globally as well, we've got campuses in Dubai, Hong Kong, Malaysia as well. So we are also looking into opportunities where students can actually opt to go to these places to have an exchange program. So not necessarily to UOW Australia, you will have opportunities to also opt for other campuses around the world as well. Because the program that we offer here is actually identical to what is actually being offered in UOW Australia. Okay, what this means is that at any time during your program itself, you will be able to transfer to UOW Australia. Okay, so we have some students who complete, for example, year 1 and year 2 in Singapore itself. And for final year, they decide that they actually want to go to Australia to study. Okay, so this one is quite different from the exchange. Exchange means exchange, you go, you must come back, call exchange, right? Okay, transfer means that you transfer permanently. So you basically exit from the SIM program and you choose to complete your program in UOW. So that's possible as well. But of course, in this option, you have to pay the international fees for the remaining year that you opt to do there. But whatever that you completed in Singapore, you do not have to redo it in Australia. Okay. Okay, I want to just share with you a video. Okay, even though this is made by a group of students that we send from our Bachelor of Psychological Science program. So at UOW, we offer both IT as well as psychology program. Okay, but this video will let you have an appreciation of how our students are there, how the UOW campus is. Okay, so we just watch this for 1 to 2 minutes. Thanks.
I'm Cheryl. I'm from Singapore and I'm studying Bachelor of Psychology Honours in the University of Wollongong. One thing that really made SIM stand out from the other unis was that our class size was really small. So the first year, our class was like only 60 people. So all of us got to know each other really well. It's really been an honour to actually come to University of Wollongong in Australia to study.
I'm Melody. I'm from Singapore. I'm studying psychology, my Bachelor of Science honours degree. I think it's the support system that they put forth to us and that we know the lecturers. So it's really helpful that we know someone here who is ready to support us, and there's this relation between Wollongong and SIM. So smoother transition, I think. I have a group of friends here as well with me, Singaporean friends. So it's really helpful that we come together. And also at the same time, we also mix around with our Australian friends and they are really warm and friendly. The accommodation is wonderful, I would say. They have study rooms and entertainment rooms for us to share. It's like common areas. Come with an open mind to just enjoy the experience, be indulged in the culture, and you'll be fine.
My name is Andrew, and I'm from Singapore. And right now I'm doing my honours here, which is my 4th year in psychology. And I'm really happy to say that I was part of SIM right now because I think that it represented us well here. I felt that honours was really an important here, not just for my future, but personally for myself to grow as a professional. So I felt that it would be a good time to actually come over here and really learn from the professionals themselves. So I feel like the relationship I have with my supervisor is not just purely academic, but it's kind of like a personal growth as well. The weather's amazing. I mean, Singapore is humid. Some of the things that we do is things like we hit to the beach and we have a lot of fun there. Sometimes I just like learn to swim, learn to surf and all that. We even hit to the mall. So what's happening is that every Thursday night, there's like a market going on and there's like international food. So like whenever we feel like we're missing home, you just can grab some food, but it's also like great Western food as well. One of my favorites is 50 cm hot dog, which I go crazy over it. To whoever's graduating, all the best. Really excited you guys are graduating.
Okay, so you like what you see there? Yes, it's really good. So like I said, we always have to remember our students not to overplay and continue to focus. Okay, especially when the weather is so hot nowadays. I think they are really enjoying there. So maybe I should fly over and look for them. Okay, just moving on, I've got a bit more for the undergraduate program. Okay, so another factor that's very important when you're actually considering choosing a degree program will actually be the academics that are actually teaching in the program itself. So just now I mentioned that the lecturers that fly in to teach here in Singapore are actually the same lecturers that teach the same modules back in Wollongong. So on top of that, a lot of these names, most of the time our head of school, which is distinguished Professor Willie Susilo, if you look up his name, you'll find that he has actually many awards. He's very well recognized in the area of security itself. And why is that important is because you want to be taught by professors with extensive knowledge. And at the same time, okay, the plus point is that they would actually have a lot of industry experience as well because they collaborate with a lot of the industry organizations. So they bring their expertise here and they teach you and they impart that knowledge to you. Okay, so with this, you can always just look up some of these names as well if you're interested. Okay, I do not know whether a lot of you managed to go to our booth, the Work Study Train booth at the atrium on your way up. If you have not, I'd like to encourage you to drop by. So the Work Study Train program actually started in October 2022. Okay, what this means is that we're actually partnering with companies to allow students to work at the company and train at the company and study here at SIM at the same time, which is why it's known as the Work Study Train program. So we currently have two tie-ups with two companies, Asia Pac as well as NCS. Okay, if you are interested to know about it, I think you can go to the booth to find out a bit more. Okay, but basically what these schemes does, like I said, is that while you're being employed at the company, so you work full-time with them, you actually come and study part-time with us. So imagine it as that you're actually gaining work experience and getting paid, you know, while working, but at the same time having the opportunity to upgrade yourself at night. Okay, this is going to be very tough. I mean, I had a word with a few of our students who joined them in the first cohort. It's definitely not easy, but I think the companies are supportive. Some of them give like early release schemes and all to allow you to come to work. But I guess one of the biggest advantage of pushing yourself hard in a way for the Work Study Train program, I mean, on top of you being able to get paid while you're working, is that imagine that at the end of your study, so be if you are studying for a 2 years program, at the end of 2 years, you'll already be equipped with work experience compared to some of your peers who have only studied for 2 years and are just graduating. But for you, if you're graduating at that point of 2 years, you already have 2 years of working experience plus your bachelor's degree. Okay, so I think it's a very attractive scheme. If you're interested, like I said, please come here and ask us. I think Jia Wen will also be able to help you answer some of the questions as well. Okay, a little bit more, bear with me, our graduates itself. So I just want to share with you a bit, a few of the testimonials of our successful graduates that we have in our program. So the UOW program started in SIM in 2005. So we are into our 18 years of partnership. Okay, this is important because you want to make sure that the partnership between the institutions is long and lasting, which means that the program has an extensive alumni base that have actually gone out to work as well. Okay, so this is Susan Chang. She was working with Amazon, but I think recently she changed company. We have one of our graduates, Herman, as well. So he's actually, he did our Bachelor in Computer Science, majoring in Digital System Security, and subsequently moved on to a master's degree from SUTD. And I believe that he is already graduating. Yeah. And then we have Xiao Ran, who's actually working at Google. And if you read some of the testimonials that they have provided, you realize that a lot of them appreciated the program for its training. Okay, because we cannot teach you everything within the degree program, but we can teach you how to learn and how to have the right problem solving and critical thinking skills. We can equip you with the right foundational skills so that once you go out and work, you'll be able to pick up rapidly. Because IT is evolving so rapidly, right? We will not be able to teach you everything within the classroom setting itself. So like I said, it's more important to make sure that you are trained with the right mindset when you actually graduate from our program itself. Okay, and this is actually Sini. So Sini went on to do her Bachelor of Business Information System Honours. So this was, I think, last year. So she should be completing this year. Okay, I've actually completed the undergrad program, but I'll take maybe another 5 more minutes to finish with the master's pathway, and then later we can move into Q&A, okay? So like I mentioned, the Masters of Computing Data Analytics is our latest program that's being offered by the University of Wollongong. So it's really meant to allow students who are graduating from an undergrad program to be able to have a pathway to move into a master's program itself, okay? The program is actually 1 year in duration, okay? Okay, so like I said, the Master of Computing is developed to, is committed to developing individuals who actually want to have a specialization in data analytics, and as well as to be able to focus on some of the newest technologies in getting data intelligence and all. So the program, like I mentioned, currently we have it in both full-time as well as part-time mode. Okay, the duration is actually 1 year. Okay, and we are aiming to have 4 intakes a year as well, similar to what we have for the undergrad program, which is basically in January, April, July, and October, you'll be able to come and join us. In terms of the loading, it is also typically 2 subjects per semester, okay, which is why you should be able to complete all subjects within a year itself if you are taking normal load. These are just some of the subjects that you'll be taking. So basically, you will need to take 5 subjects, 2 core, 3 of the major subjects, 1 capstone. Capstone is a final year project. It's normally done in a group of between 2 to 5 students. And then you'll be able to select an elective as well as part of the program structure. So in a way, 7 modules. The admission requirements is such that we admit anyone with a recognized 3-year bachelor degree in IT or computer science. Okay, but if you are our UOW graduate, definitely is recognized, which means that you're assured of the duration of 1 year. If not, for other students who may not possess a 3 years computer science program, and if you have a diploma, there's actually another pathway, which is actually through the SIM graduate diploma pathway. Okay, so if you happen to be above 30 years old and have more than 8 years of working experience, you will be able to go through that graduate diploma program offered by SIM and then come into the master's program. So basically, there are 2 entry points into our Masters of Computing program. Oh, okay, I'm done in less than 5 minutes. Okay, shall we?
Yeah, so we'll now move on to questions for Celine. So if you have questions for Celine, just raise up your hand. I'll come over to you with a mic. This is a time to, ask Celine any questions you have about the programs under University of Wollongong. Okay, hold on, please.
Hi, Celine.
Yes, hello.
Hi, yeah, I just want to check with you for the master's program, right? You mentioned that there's, for those without a university degree,
Yes.
they can go to do the graduate diploma. So how long is the duration of the graduate diploma?
The graduate diploma is, I think, not 12 months, is it? Not 9. Okay, 12
Is
months
it on
in
a
duration.
part-time or full-time basis?
Currently, it's actually offered on a part-time basis.
Part-time
The
basis.
current, yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So for the graduate diploma is 12 months plus the master's you mentioned that is 1 month. 1 year.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. Then for in terms of you mentioned in terms of there's a double major for the bachelor, right? There's a double major and a single major.
Yes, correct.
So the difference between the two is just a difference of 1 subject extra, is it? Double major?
It's 1 to 2 subjects depending on which pathway you come from. Okay,
Okay.
so if you're coming in with more exemptions, then it could be 1 subject. Less exemptions could be more subjects, but not more than 2 difference at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, Ken.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem. Thanks.
Any more questions? Okay, hold
Yes,
on, I'm
there's
coming
one
over.
at the- Actually, I can walk around.
Hello, Ms.
Hello.
Celine.
Yes.
So UOW has an exchange program to Malaysia, right?
Yes, we have a partner in Malaysia, which is KDU Malaysia now.
May I know which city we are going to be exchanged to?
Oh,
Is it KL or Penang? Because I know
Yeah.
these two cities have the UOW.
yes. Okay. So currently we do not have any students that have been sent there yet. Okay, but we are working with UOW and there is a possibility simply because we have campuses all around. So currently the exchange program, we only send students to Australia. Okay, but that's something that we are working on. And so that's why now I cannot tell you exactly whether it's KL or Penang. Yeah, until we have confirmed the arrangements with them.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. I think there's one.
All the way.
All the way. Or you can shout out, I can repeat your question. Hi.
Yeah, I just want to check for the NCS, the program, right? Is it the school fees is fully covered, right, by the company?
Both Asia Pac and NCS has got slightly different schemes. Okay, NCS, I believe, goes on a 50% reimbursement model, but maybe for more details, you can stay back and then speak to Jiawen and myself after this. Is that okay?
Yeah. Is even for the part-time, like 1.5 years also is or you never I check if you
Yeah.
offline.
No, okay, so they don't have restriction. So like I say, if you qualify for the work study train program, then you will be entitled to different payment schemes between the two different companies. Yeah.
Any other questions? It's okay, don't be shy. Any
No
other-
questions means I was very clear.
Yeah, you're
Or
very
I was
clear.
very bad, then they have no questions at all.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions for Celine? Oh, today I exercised a lot.
Thank you, Celine.
Hello, yes.
Question about the common engineering. You mentioned between the three courses, if a student decides to switch
Yes.
between the courses, can you
Yes.
expand a bit more about that? Is
Sure.
there any penalty,
Okay.
extension of time? And the
Okay.
second question is, you showed a list of the lecturers that would come. Is that only for the final year subjects? What about year one and year two? Can you expand a bit more about the local lecturers here? Thank
Okay,
you.
so maybe I'll just answer your second question first, recency thing. Okay, so the slide that I shared with the lecturers team. So in our program, the year one and year two subjects are actually taught locally by lecturers. Okay, so only the year three subjects, we have fly-in lecturers from UOW that will fly in to deliver those lectures. So the names I've shared there, yes, they are teaching it, but there could be changes along the way because we do have people coming and going. So I hope that addresses the question. Okay, the local lecturers are mainly academics. Okay, they can either be PhD holders or else they would be usually industry practitioners who have both the industry experience as well as the academic knowledge. So everyone who actually teaches in a program needs to be interviewed and approved by University of Wollongong because they actually do a quality assurance on all the lecturers teaching in it, which means that whatever course materials and marking and all will go through a very rigorous approval process by the university. Yeah, to ensure, like I said, mainly that the standards are similar here in Singapore as well in Australia, which is why we say that because the program is identical, at any one time, if you want to transfer to the program in Australia, that's possible. So you don't have to retake any modules because it's considered exactly equivalent. Okay, to answer your first question about the transfer, so just now I mentioned that because we have 1.5 years worth of common subjects across the three different programs, what that means is that when you actually come into our program, for example, with a Bachelor of Computer Science, the most extreme, I think, would be that if you're coming with Bachelor of Computer Science and you want to transfer to the BBIS program, for example, okay, that one will have quite a lot of difference in subjects between, I think, 4 to 6. I'm not exactly sure of the exact, okay, we can talk about that in detail. But what that means is that for that 4 to 6 modules that cannot be applied from the Bachelor of Computer Science to the BBIS program, you will need to take it, which means that there will be extended duration. Okay, but if you're talking about switching between the majors for the computer science, most of the time there is no difference unless you cross into the year 3 module. Yeah, so if within year 1 and year 2, you actually make up your mind to say that you want to change from cybersecurity or you want to change from single major to double major, usually there's no difference in duration. Yeah, and when you talk about penalty, no penalty as well, okay, but there is a program transfer fee more like an administrative fee that you have to pay in order to change program. Yeah.
So sorry, expanding on that. So a student can complete within the shortest time, 1.5 years, and all the way in case there is transfer, is there like by year 5, you must complete everything or you're out of the program totally?
No, so our candidature is typically 3 times your normal duration.
Okay.
So if you're coming in 3, then you have up to 9 years to finish your
Complete
program.
everything.
Yes,
And
correct.
final question, sorry, is this considered, because you said studying here or studying in Australia is recognized. So in their degree certificate, are you an external student or international student?
No.
Is
So
there a
the-
difference
yeah.
in what is issued?
Okay,
as
no.
a
So the
final
degree that's issued here will look exactly like if you actually graduated from the on-campus program.
physically?
Yeah, so no external, no bracket, SIN, so it look exactly the same. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Thanks.
Hello, I've got a question.
Yes.
In terms of the subjects, right?
Yes.
Is there like a prerequisite for one to pass to go to the next subject for this particular course?
Yes, there are some subjects that have prerequisite, not many of them. Off the top of my head, maybe about 5. They are mainly programming languages. So we have OO program, OO module, an object-oriented module in year 1. Okay, because that's the basis. Okay, and only when you pass that, then you can move into the Java module in year 2. And then after Java, you have to pass it, then you can move on to a C++ advanced programming module. So this is one example of where we have prerequisites. Okay, but this, like I say, it only applies mainly for the programming. There's also one for our database. So we have a very simple SQL database module in year 1 called data management. And then after that, to move on to advanced database in year 2. And then especially if you're in a big data major, then you will need that to move on to like big data management, big data subjects and all. Yeah, so but all these will be made very clear to the students upfront when you actually come in. Okay, but so like I said, not too many. Okay, definitely not the majority, but definitely we do have prerequisites. So where it's a prerequisite, you must pass it before you can progress. Okay, so if you happen to fail the prerequisite, the following term, you may or may not have subjects to take because you cannot move on. Okay, and that will cause a lengthening of the duration of the studies. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, we have time for one last question. Anyone wants to ask Celine any questions? Just raise up your hand and give me time. Okay.
Oh, hi. For the exchange program, right? I heard that, is it eligible for only full-timer or can part-time also apply for that?
Okay, there is actually no restriction on whether you have to be a full-time student or a part-time student, but as it lies, I do not have any part-time students that have applied for it. Mainly because I think it requires you to be away for 6 months, and very few companies will allow you when you actually have a regular job. So I think it's really more a personal constraint than a constraint on the program itself. So if your company allows you to take leave for 6 months, for example, to go for an exchange, you can apply even though you're a part-time student.
Oh, is there any requirement for exchange programs, like certain GPAs? Or...
Yes, correct. So we have an academic requirement. I think it's a minimum of a 65 credit overall in your WAM scores. That's as of now. We may change it later on. On top of that, there's an interview that you must attend, and then we'll try to select people to actually go for it. Yeah.